Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and today we are going to be talking about the confirmed release date for Season 6 or Phase 6 Haul and Hustle that was confirmed by the developers. Now, I'm sure that some of you guys were aware that the release date sort of got leaked a little bit ahead of time on the Nintendo eShop, and the only reason we didn't cover that is because those dates are still subject to change until the developers make an official announcement. So rather than putting that out there and it not necessarily being correct, I wanted to make sure that we waited for our official date announcement so that I didn't give you guys the wrong date. Now, the date that it is releasing is December 7th, which is next Tuesday as of the day this video is posted. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into everything you can expect to see in Phase 6. Now, right off the bat, we're looking at one of the vehicles that is new for Phase 6 called the ANK MK38 Civilian. Now, it's not necessarily an entirely new vehicle, but what they essentially did was they turned the MK38 into something that you could run a fuel tank on, a service body on, or a saddle high or saddle low. And so now you can finally recreate that loading screen photo that was taken back on the Alaska map that we've been seeing ever since the game was first released. And I believe that was actually almost I want to say that was even a promotional screenshot for the game. It basically had an MK38 coming around a corner in the snow with a giant, I think it was a high saddle fuel trailer behind it, and up until now, we haven't been able to recreate that loading screen with the ANK MK38, but we can now because you can actually remove the standard bed that was on it before and get access to a couple of different frame add-ons that we didn't necessarily have before. Now, this hub area in the first map in Maine is actually really, really important because if you've been following the content that we've been making here on this channel in relation to Maine here on the public test server ahead of the release, you would have been able to see that this area is actually it's not complete when you load into Maine for the first time. Now, what's cool about this is that you actually get to build your home base. So you get to build the trailer store, you get to build the garage, you get to build the repair area, you get to build the truck shop, you get to build all of these things, and you might be thinking to yourselves, well, does that, why would they do that? Does that add like just a whole bunch of extra complication? Is there any reward for it? And actually, there's a massive reward, and the reward comes in when you get to see that area at night, because the neon signs take it to an incredible level visually that we have never really been able to experience in this game before. And while we're on the topic of new additions to the game, we should definitely talk about one of the other new vehicles, the Aramatsu Forester. Now, the Aramatsu Forester is essentially a forwarder vehicle. It's a logging vehicle with a rotating cab that allows you to basically, when you go into crane mode, the cab will rotate around and it will actually allow you to face rearward towards your log platform so you can load the logs effectively in third person or first person view, depending on what you prefer in terms of gameplay style. Now, I want to show you guys a little bit of the landscape out here in Maine if you're not fully familiar with it. Now, do I recommend Maine as like, let's say you're just picking up SnowRunner, and do I recommend Maine as like your first DLC region? I definitely think it's something you could do. You could jump into it right off the bat, especially if you've played through things like, Michigan, Alaska, some of the base game regions that don't require any DLC. You could definitely jump into Maine right off the bat, but I definitely think it's got a little bit more of an initial learning curve to it, and maybe also a little bit more of a initial difficulty curve to it, solely because you have to build all of your infrastructure first before you can actually get to work on the rest of the contracts. Now, I shouldn't say that you have to, but it is highly recommended that you do, because if you don't build your infrastructure first, you won't have a garage to recover to. You won't have a truck shop to buy new vehicles. You won't have customization. You won't have an open garage. Now, garages are something that I feel we really take for granted, or at least I took for granted until this particular season, because in this season, you actually have to clear out the spaces in the garage before you can have basically more than one space, because the entire garage is essentially, it's been left. There's a whole bunch of junk inside of it, just cluttering it up everywhere. There's truck parts, there's pieces of wood, pieces of metal, just sitting all over the floor of the garage, and you actually have to clean all that stuff out through the process of delivering different pieces of cargo and different, service items back to the garage to kind of restore it to its quote-unquote former glory, so to speak, which I really think is a cool mechanic, and I don't know if that's something that they're planning on doing a lot in the future, but I definitely think it's a really cool way to add a little bit of extra spice to it. Now, I would really like to see in a future phase, I would like to see those neon signs come back, because they're also really, really pretty if you go through the town by the docks at night. Now, another thing that is a huge piece of Season 6 is photo mode. Now, photo mode is something I've been wanting in this game ever since it first came out, because I don't know about y'all, but I love taking pictures of my trucks, whether that's a default in-game truck or a modded truck. Now, overall, it seems like photo mode has been really, really well received by the community, and I would love to know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below on how you feel about photo mode coming to the game. I know for me, when I first heard that it was going to be a thing, I literally rushed to update my PTS, my public test server, so I could test it out early, and so that I could get as many, like, test photos as I could, just to see what the options were, what the editing options were in-game, what the editing options were to kind of, pre-process the photo, essentially, just to kind of go through some of the options here and there and figure out what it actually wanted to offer you in terms of the camera settings. And I say camera settings loosely because it's not like a camera, you're just more like taking a screenshot, but it does have a lot of features that are supposed to mimic camera settings, and I think they do a really, really good job of that. Now, at this point, we're actually about to transition into the second map in this region. Maine is a 2-map region. However, there are a lot of different tunnels to unlock between the first map and the second map. Currently, I only have this tunnel unlocked, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an overview of the first map so you can see where the other tunnels are. Now, these tunnels are unlockable through tasks and through contracts, obviously, but also that area down there near the port, I definitely recommend going there as soon as you can, and especially going there at night, because that town on the way there is absolutely gorgeous at night. You can actually see inside the windows of the buildings. Like, if you drive past a little restaurant or a bar at night, you'll actually see, like, lights on inside the building. You'll see defined, like, neon signs on inside the building through the windows. Now, is it on the level of a game where you could actually walk inside a building? No, it's not quite on that level, but I mean, for SnowRunner, come on, that's like a huge upgrade from anything that we've seen on that front before. That's actually legitimately a massive upgrade. Now, something else we need to talk about is the Season 6 free content, but more on the specifics of what was said. Now, this was posted by the developers on Steam, and it said, don't miss the free update with consoles-PC crossplay, photo mode, and more. Now, I got really excited when I read that initially, and then further on, I read it says bringing crossplay between Steam and other platforms. And there's no more mention of console to PC. So I don't know if that was a typo or if that wasn't supposed to be there, but regardless, does that mean what I think it means? I'm pretty dang sure it does. The only thing is, I don't know if that means we have to expect console to PC crossplay on the 7th of December. Now, if that happens, I would be mind blown. But I'm also not entirely going to hold my breath to wait and see if that happens either. But I am very, very excited. Now, do I think the Season 6 paid content is going to be worth the cost? After putting in a lot of hours on the Season 6 public test server, I absolutely do. I actually really, really like Season 6. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Season 5. And I think if you're looking for an experience that provides both all of the fun aspects of SnowRunner with a lot of challenge, definitely give Season 6 a try. I definitely think that you guys are going to enjoy it, especially if you are both fun-minded and challenge-minded, because when I say challenge-minded, I don't necessarily mean something like Imandra, where you're like, constantly wanting to pull your hair out, but at the same time, you will run into plenty of challenging moments, challenging sections, and challenging missions where you'll have to think outside the box, go off of the main trail, and find new pathways for yourselves. Now, this spot right here, I wanted to show it to you guys because it is like, do not try to go through here in anything large. Trust me, I had many, many, many fails from attempting to go through there in a large truck. It's a bad idea. don't do it. Don't think about it whatsoever. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything we discussed in the comment section down below. And if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe, turn those notifications on to stay as up to date as possible, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to y'all later, and I hope you guys enjoyed.